Hello and welcome to episode 3 of this In the House podcast. I'm Jack.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Jackson.
We got some breaking news.
According to Shams, the Knicks are nearing a trade to send Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo to Minnesota for Karl Anthony Towns.
It'll be curious to see what the final trade is. You know, who else is involved? Maybe some picks thrown in there, but just really caught us off guard. Just really like only a few minutes before we're gonna start recording here, and we get some breaking news out of the NBA.
Yeah, no doubt. Kind of just a random trade. Didn't really, just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. But I mean, with Karl Anthony Towns now on the Knicks, you still got Jalen Brunson. You got Mikal Bridges that you acquired. I mean, it's gonna be tough to see. They're not up there with like the Bucks and the Sixers in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you lose DiVincenzo, and you're just kind of like, there goes the Nova 4.
Yeah.
Kind of was excited to see how they were played this season, but now they're gone. So
Yeah, it'll be cool to see. We'll talk more about NBA once it gets in season. Obviously, looking forward to that. But I mean, right now that's a big move if the Knicks can pull it off. Train for an All-Star center. So
yeah.
But let's get into it. What we have scheduled here. First thing, Monday Night Football review. 2 games.
I know. Let's go. Come on now. I think we got another doubleheader coming in this coming Monday. So
It'll be. I like the doubleheader.
Me too. You know, we were talking about it before. Let's get a Friday night game going. You know that's it's kind of high school day, but let's get some Friday night football going.
Yeah,
let's spread it out.
I don't see why they can't go Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. I think that's I've been pulling for the Friday night games for a while now. I think that just, I mean, so another weekend night to watch football on.
Yeah.
But Jane Daniels for the Commanders here, and a win over the Bengals. I mean, right now in fantasy, he's the QB2 right now behind Josh Allen, I think. But I mean, he's looking like a elite fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, he looks phenomenal right now.
I mean, he looks like rookie Lamar. I mean, the rushing upside he has is just phenomenal. You know, draft night, I was down that old Preston over there took Jordan Love one pick before me, and now I'm glad that he did because Jordan Love obviously injured, hoping to make a return this coming week. But you know, Jane Daniels just, you know, you had him a little bit shaky with the pass game, and then he got his first 2 passing touchdowns. First one to a lineman.
Yep.
Kind of surprising there, and then everybody I feel like saw that late game dime he threw to Terry McLaurin for that touchdown. Just a phenomenal throw, and of course getting it done on the rushing end. But no, I'm liking what I'm seeing from him.
Yeah. And another thing you kind of highlighted there, Terry McLaurin, kind of his showout game so far through the season. You know, he was getting drafted middle rounds as a, you know, decent wide receiver, and I think with the Jane Daniels series seeing right now with Terry McLaurin at his wide receiver 1. I think Terry McLaurin could be really good. I think people have always thought of him as one of the best receivers, just hasn't had a quarterback, and therefore was not really great in fantasy. But if Jane Daniels can continue this, I think Terry McLaurin becomes a starter in your week.
No doubt. I saw a little interview he had after the game, and he's saying how this is one of the first times in his career that he's actually been trusted with a game-winning touchdown like that. And he said he feels glad and how him and Jane Daniels are starting to form a bond. And, you know, if I'm a fantasy manager of Terry McLaurin, I was really high on McLaurin coming into the season. I feel like maybe this is the page turner for him. Maybe he can be that guy. So I'm excited to see what happens with him. Then you have the Bengals.
0-3.
Off to a rough start. I mean,
And then EA had them winning the Super Bowl, is that right?
Yeah.
Or it's just the AFC? No, Super Bowl.
That's embarrassing. But
That's tough.
Jamar Chase had a good fantasy day. I mean, the offense was not really the problem for the Bengals. I think they scored upwards of 30 points. So, I mean, that's going to win you some games in the NFL. But
the Bengals still have a chance to be good, but the 0-3 start's not looking good for them. Like losing to the Patriots and the Commanders.
Yeah, that's tough. And
they just haven't looked like that same team that went to the Super Bowl only a couple of years ago.
No.
You know, I just traded for Jamar Chase, and you had the contract issues, which really kind of scared me for trading him. And then I saw another interview where he said that touchdown he had, the first season touchdown he had he said it kind of reinfilled him with the joy of football and how he's going to set the contract issues aside and he's going to play some football. Which, if he does that, he's going to be elite. I mean, you see it here, 29.8 points. He's just a dog. I mean,
You also see here Zach Moss, 20 points. I mean, I think he's kind of finally starting to maybe pull ahead a little bit over Chase Brown right now, and he's getting work in the passing game, which was kind of like Chase Brown's argument on why you should draft him over Zach Moss. And I think Zach Moss in this Bengals high-powered offense as the running back one with receiving work, I think he's a startable running back.
Is the goal line back too?
Yeah.
Like he gets those goal line touches.
Yeah, I think he's a very startable back.
see, I was very that little controversy with that running back room. I wasn't really big on Chase Brown. You know, you saw what Zach Moss did when Jonathan Taylor was out last season, and I just feel like, how do you consider starting Chase Brown over Zach Moss, who already proved what he could do for the Colts? But Zach Moss, doing pretty good.
Yeah, there was that stat that said last year Chase Brown played more snaps on special teams than on offense. So
That's tough.
I think there's still a lot of potential around Brown. He's obviously a receiving back, which I still think has a lot of upside. But right now, it's looking like Zach Moss's job to lose. But into, like we said, doubleheader, second game. This one was not even close.
It was definitely not as interesting as that first game where it's close, very high scoring, down to the end of the game.
Yeah.
But this one is like 41-7. I don't know the exact score, but
It
it was
was
not even close.
it was offside.
No. Thought I was watching a college football game. That's how bad it was. When I was looking to go research on who had the most fantasy points for the Jaguars, didn't realize Christian Kirk had 15.9. Don't know how that evened out, but kind of weird little decent game from him, you know.
Yeah. Right now, this Jaguars passing offense and fantasy football, it's just a lot of people are confused with it because week one you had that good game from Brian Thomas Jr. Like, okay, maybe the rookie, and then Christian Kirk obviously with 16 points, he was kind of viewed, at least I thought, as the wide receiver one who was going into the season.
Yeah.
And Trevor Lawrence isn't that generational quarterback that you wanted him to be, like coming out of Clemson, just being very successful there.
And even with ETN, he's now really in a split backfield with Tank Bigsby, so really not the volume that you were looking there if you drafted him in like the second round. But so this Jags offense right now could be scary for a lot of fantasy managers.
Glad I got him out. Well, I could.
Yeah. And then for the Bills, they're just firing on all cylinders right now.
I mean,
They look like the top team in the AFC. And it's kind of like they lost Stephon Diggs, and they're somehow looking better. It's just Josh Allen, he's been elite.
and I might say right here now, Josh Allen MVP winner. I mean, he's just getting it done on the rushing attack, passing attack, and showing how he can make a team full of bums a good team. I mean, they're not bums, but there's no standout names except for James Cook on that team.
Right. I mean, Kincaid, obviously a good tight end. And, Shakir's been the wide receiver one. I think if Josh Allen keeps performing and Shakir keeps that wide receiver one role, I think he's startable in fantasy as like a flex wide receiver two kind of guy. I mean, 19.2 points, you get that out of a receiver. That's you're taking that all day. But So let's move on here to Thursday Night Football. Last night, Giants, Cowboys. Cowboys
for you.
Yeah, no, it was because as you know, my team has been just absolutely riddled by injuries this year, and Malik Neighbors, we goes off the field. Everybody thinks it's a concussion. We later find out he blacked out. So concussion. They were maybe looking at he's not going to be out for very long. Who knows now? Obviously, they got to take his health first.
Some Bleacher Report said that Malik said he was all good, but you never know what that means.
Yeah, I saw they were interviewing Brian Burns in post game in the locker room, and Malik Neighbors walks in and he asks Brian Burns asked him, "Malik, you good?" And he was like, "Nah." So that's tough to see. But you look at the Giants, Greg Joseph,
Phenomenal.
I mean, the kicker performance, that can win you a week right there.
No doubt.
The defenses and kickers, they get slept on. But you have a -2 in your defense and 19 in your kicker? I mean,
Evens out, old Greg Joseph, never heard of the guy, and but 19 points.
I mean, they're only points for field goals, so got a lot of work. And another thing here, Wan'Dale Robinson. You want to talk about that? Malik Neighbors had 15 targets. Wan'Dale Robinson had 14 targets. So I don't know if the Giants are running some kind of air raid offense here, but I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson looked like he was getting a lot of check down work from Daniel Jones, and Malik Neighbors obviously still saw a lot of volume. I think with Malik Neighbors out, Wan'Dale Robinson next week is not a bad option with all the volume.
If Wan'Dale is in your waivers, get him immediately. This, especially if Malik Neighbors misses some weeks, Wan'Dale's going to be that guy.
Yeah,
and he's going to have some elite performances, even with Daniel Jones quarterback.
Right. Switching over to the Cowboys, got the win.
Yep.
They needed that. They had not looked good, but they got the win. CeeDee Lamb, good game from him. That's what you expect after most second overall picks. But 23.6 points. That's a good week.
Had that 55-yard touchdown reception. I'm going up against him this week, and that was tough to watch. But you had Rico Dowdle with the touchdown. That whole running back room's just a big old question mark.
Yeah, it's confusing in there. Yeah,
they pick up Dalvin Cook. They have Zeke. They have Rico. No clue.
I'm just trying to avoid that at all costs. I mean, you never know who it's going to be, and honestly, none of the options really thrill me.
And they got Deuce Vaughn too.
Oh yeah. But Dak Prescott 16.74. I'm not sure what he was projected, but 16 from your quarterback.
Not great, not terrible.
It is fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
It's not like a 7-point game where it's like possibly costing you the win. It's not like Josh Allen who had 30 points.
Yeah.
So Cowboys get the win there, move to 2-2. Giants drop down to 1-3, and I still think it's the Eagles' division to lose at this point.
Yeah.
But Cowboys win, so we'll see how that affects them moving on. Next up, college football. The game of the week.
Maybe game of the year.
Possibly. Alabama, Georgia. It's just it's a great game.
I don't think I've ever been, except for the Iron Bowl week. Iron Bowl week's in its own category, but I'm hyped about this. As a Bama fan, I'm filled with joy and excitement for tomorrow. Georgia, they've been that guy for a long time, and then last year Bama coming out with the SEC championship win, and just kind of the statement from being called one of the worst Nick Saban rosters to then going out being number one Georgia, and Kalen DeBoer, this is what's gonna tell us if he's gonna be that coach for Bama for the next coming years. But it's gonna be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, you look at Georgia, their offensive scheme is always going to be crisp. Carson Beck, leading that offense there. Trevor Etienne transfers in to Georgia from Florida. He's a dynamic player. Travis Etienne's little brother. And they got good receivers. Their defense is loaded. Malachi Stark's maybe the best DB in the country. He's up there for sure. And then moving over to Alabama, Jalen Milroe. Dual threat. Just an elite quarterback as well. Ryan Williams, freshman wide receiver. They got other good wide receivers. Prentice, Bernard.
Jeremy.
Boy. They got Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. Got a good defense. Keon Sabb with a couple interceptions so far. And at Bryant-Denny, I think it's going to be a really good game here, guys.
Yeah, we were looking at the stats, and we were talking about who might be the lead wide receiver, and Ryan Williams, stats wise, just 10 receptions, bro's going crazy as a freshman, and then the rushing game, Jalen Milroe has the most rushing attempts on the team, which is kind of crazy to me with the talent you have in Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. So I think if Alabama's defense can just hold on, I think this game's going to be a nice game.
Yeah, and EA has not been very high on the Alabama DBs so far this season. He thinks that they are not and nowhere near the level that they've been in past years. But I'm not. Is y'all's defensive front pretty good?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I like it. I feel like old EA is kind of overreacting. Keon Sabb, 2 interceptions. You have the 5-star in Jalen Mbakwe, and I feel like it's not as bad as he makes it think he is. Keon Sabb has twice the amount of interceptions that Caleb Downs had in the whole season last season. So
Let's move on who we got so far. First thing I want to clarify, guys. Us four, we are in a group and a CBS Sports Pick'em, and I'm currently in second place behind EA. So don't let that 1 and 3 fool you, okay? I'm actually in second place. So even though I've been losing the ones that we've been discussing on the podcast, the behind the scenes have been pretty good to me. But Jack, you wanna talk about Bama here?
I got Bama. I think I'm with EA here. It's going to be a statement game, and I think it's just going to be Alabama's going to show Georgia's the frauds that they are. And I said it here. Georgia's the fraud. I mean, they're not fit to be the number 2. Kentucky, a 1-point game. Kentucky could have won it if they went on that 4th and 13, I think. But I think Bama, Jalen Murrow, the dual threat. I think himself is just going to run all over that defense. So I think I got him by at least a touchdown. So,
Jackson?
Georgia. I mean, they're not the underdogs, but they're the underdogs in this group for sure. I'm only one who picked Georgia. I mean, they're favorited, and Georgia, I mean, really good college football program last few years. I just feel like they're going to win.
Yeah, I think Alabama wins. I think make a statement. I'm with you. I don't think Georgia is anything. Obviously, they're a great team, but I don't think that they so far have shown to be like a top 5 team. And Alabama, I mean, I think that they have. And I just like Alabama in this matchup. It's at Bryant-Denny. I just think that Alabama's defense, I think if DeBoer can find a scheme to kind of stop that, because I've watched Georgia this season against Clemson, I found that a lot of their wide receivers were just open about like 7 yards, and then they can make moves after the catch. If DeBoer can get a scheme to kind of make those receivers kind of have to work, I like Alabama a lot. And EA's on with Alabama too. He thinks they'll win, and yeah. So
I was kind of surprised when EA went with Bama because of how much hate he has on Bama. It's kind of weird because he's a Bama fan, but he's over here dogging on him every week. So no, but it'll be a great matchup.
All right, let's talk some fantasy football. We've been talking about it at the beginning, but let's get into some more of it. Jack, you're up. Your team right now. You're 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. Team looks a lot different. I was going over with Cheek the other day. The only 3 players that are still on my team from draft day are Jane Daniels, my defense, and my kicker. So I've been making the moves. I had Brian Thomas Jr. and then traded him, and then he came a full circle around back to me, which he's playing the flex right now. Me and EA made a bet with Tank Dell and Brian Thomas Jr., and Tank Dell did outscore Brian Thomas Jr., but made a pretty big trade getting Derrick Henry and Jamar Chase for Jonathan Taylor, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Najee Harris. I think from what I saw from Chase and Derrick Henry, I think I definitely won that trade. And I feel like a lot of questions around Tyreek Hill. Hopefully Jamar Chase can even that out. I'm going to hold on to Tyreek Hill until I see multiple 7-point performances from him. But I think Tyler Huntley starting quarterback. Yes. I don't think it's confirmed, but is he
should be. The Pro Bowler should be over Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle, wow. I can't.
And he should have been the second string to begin with. I like him much more than Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle, and much more.
I agree. I mean, when he was with the Ravens for that stint,
he's like a serviceable backup compared to Skylar Thompson being on the worst end of backups. So I feel like he should have been there. But
one suggestion here, Jack. I don't know if I would start the Ravens defense going up against the Bills.
I've made away with Clay.
Oh, okay.
I gotta get on it because I've been. We have these weird dates. I wish we could get some more dates on the waiver claim transactions. Um, I got some waiver claims coming.
I got you. I got
And
you.
I've been with my boy Cooper Rush over in Dallas. Go get him, Miami. He's elite. Cooper Rush, my QB1. I go get him. He will carry that Miami Dolphins offense to a Super Bowl.
How do you feel about Bowers?
Bowers, you had. I mean, I think I saw a thing today. He's the third most scoring tight end in the fantasy, and I was very high on him going into the season. And after long and gruesome negotiations with old Tyler over there, finally got him. He had a not a great performance as soon as I got him, but I feel like he'll definitely step it up. So I like what I got right now.
Okay.
Moving on here.
Next, we have my team. CJ Stroud, I don't know how to feel about him. I mean, he's a really good QB, but last game, 10 points. You don't love to see that. Saquon and Brees Hall carrying my team every week. I mean, RB1, RB2, obviously. Then wide receiver 1, let's not talk about it. If Debo comes back this week, feel pretty good about him starting as wide receiver 1. In my opinion, just looking at football, I don't think they should play him this week because they're playing the Pats this week, and I feel like they can just win that game without Debo, and then he'll just be fully healthy next week. But J-Mo, wide receiver 2, he had 2 really good first games with a ton of targets, 9 and 11 targets. Then the second game, he puts up 1 reception. So the 1 week I start him. Mark Andrews, 33% of offensive snaps, the third tight end, looks terrible right now. A few weeks might be having to drop him. J.K. Dobbins is starting to get all the carries in that Chargers backfield. But going up against a tough defense with a lot of O-line injuries, don't love to see that. So,
Alt with that injury.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Then my bench is stacked. We have Carson Steele, Xavier Worthy, Puka, Debo, Keon Coleman as the stash pick. So,
nice team over
there. Hopefully, Jawan Jennings can go for 46 again. Had him on the bench, but
and I lost that week too. If I put Jawan Jennings in, I would have won by 30, and instead I lost by 10.
Didn't you have Chuba Hubbard also on the bench? He went for 27. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you're just bringing up bad memories. Let's move on.
All right. This EA's team right here, 3-0, top of the league.
Yeah, and it's reasonable.
Josh Allen, I mean, he give you 30 any week. Gibbs, Mason.
What's with this Gibbs projection? 14.5.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess they like what David Montgomery's been doing. He gets a lot of the carries.
Yeah,
in that
I guess.
Detroit offense.
Yeah, no, he gets most of the rushing carries, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but Mason, he's going to be a good option with CMC still out. Jefferson, good pick. Rasheed Rice looking like to steal the draft right now. Yeah. I mean, it looks like every play, just a nice little 7-8 yard catch to Rasheed Rice, and then you look down, he's got 15 fantasy points at halftime from 8 receptions. Kyle Pitts tight end. I like the matchup he has against New Orleans this week. Amari Cooper, he's been up and down, but he's still the number 1 option there. I think that's a viable flex there. Defense kicker, and maybe his kicker will go for 19 this week. You never know. But we got my team. We're 1-2. Injuries, bro. They are so bad.
Questionable.
Yeah.
4 players in a row.
So Devontae Smith has gotten ruled out. So we've subbed in Romo Dunze for him. I don't like the play, but I have to move him. And Njoku has been ruled out, so Zach Ertz is into the lineup.
Don't hate
it. Yeah, I'm not mad with that. Go ahead.
I would feel more confident starting Zach Ertz than Mark Andrews, though, left tackle, who doesn't even play most of the offensive snaps, apparently. What are we doing?
Deontay Johnson at flex, hoping for another repeat week. I think with Andy Dalton, I think he'll be good. Malik Neighbors played on Thursday, 23.1 points. He was great before he got hurt. Rashad White's been pretty bad. but I have to keep him in. Devon Achane, hoping like he can get back to what he was doing for those first 2 weeks. And then Baker Mayfield, there's been 3 weeks, and my quarterback has not gotten double-digit points in any of the 3 weeks. It was Caleb Williams with like 7, and then Caleb Williams with like 8, and then Baker Mayfield, I think, had around 8 last week. So I need some points from the QB. Young Waku, the legend, that kicker.
Best kicker in the league, obviously.
And then on the bench, CMC, who's hurt. Devontae Smith got moved to the bench. David Njoku's on the bench. Jonathan Brooks has been on IR since I drafted him. Wan'Dale Robinson. I've picked up Wan'Dale Robinson back after week 1, and it's looking like a really good pickup for me. I also, Zach Ertz said I moved in, but we're looking to get a win. I'm playing EA this week, and we were 50-50, but with the changes that had to be made, I've moved down to about 45% chance to win, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Red Zone Rush Hour again. Week 3.
The legendary segment.
Yeah, week 3. We're back in the Falcons.
We're back. We're always here.
Yep. Bijan Robinson goes backwards again.
This is his complete stats from week 1 to week 3. I mean, that's tough.
It's
as a first round pick and how much people are hyping him up. Him having negative rushing yards.
Didn't he have a touchdown? It says
not in the red zone.
Okay.
But I mean, in the red zone, I mean, you look at Algier, 6 carries for 18 yards. They have the same amount of carries. But Algier's been much more efficient. Bijan with a catch, though. That's what you like to see. But no touchdowns for either of these guys. Bijan did have a touchdown outside of the red zone. But I think that this backfield right now, I think it's too early to say Algier is their main focus point in the red zone because they've gotten the same amount of carries. But if this trend continues to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if that did develop.
No, I think Bijan is still there. There's just been 3 weeks. This is concerning, but it's Bijan, so don't worry.
Yeah, no doubt. Falcons, Bijan he really just dominates outside of the red zone, and then he gets in the red zone, he just burrows back into a shell, and I'd be pretty upset looking at this stat as a Bijan fantasy manager.
Well, I mean, Bijan so far, he's still been a great running back. He got 16 points both week 1 and week 2 without any touchdowns. So I think if he does start getting touchdowns, he'll be what he was projected to be, a first-round pick. All right, moving into the next one here. Kyren Williams, 19 carries inside of the red zone and 4 receptions for 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. There's been 3 weeks. If you do the math, that's over a touchdown a week. Almost 2 touchdowns a week. So he's been a dog in the red zone.
I mean, this is what you expect from Kyren Williams, being that workhorse back in the Rams offense, especially with those wide receiver injuries to Puka and Cooper Kupp. So,
it's when those guys do come back, will his volume decrease? Probably. But I still think he'll get a lot of red zone work.
And he'll still be like their feature back with all the carries.
Right. I mean, I think that there was some talk coming into the season of Blake Corum, the rookie out of Michigan for the Rams, but it's still Kyron's backfield, no doubt.
Yeah, and then there's also that speculation about him being the special teams returner. I think that has no effect to him. He's just that guy.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think special teams. I don't think that will impact him at all. NFL news.
You have Debo probably making a return, and Cheek mentioned it earlier how he thinks maybe just keep him 1 more week.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. They were like saying he was going to be out for 2 weeks. I think he should return next week just based on his recovery. But in my opinion, even though this goes against my fantasy team, I do think they should sit him this week. It's New England. They haven't, even though they were good week 1 against the Bengals, who are 0-3, they haven't showed much besides that. So just sit Debo, make sure he's fine, unless he's fully healthy and just looks great.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Patriots, so they probably can get a win without him. But I mean, for fantasy managers, you want to see him back. He's a great wide receiver. But the league, it's still week 3. But are there any teams that you might have thought you wouldn't expect them to see where they are right now?
I, you also have the Saints, but me really is Minnesota. You know, you had JJ McCarthy having a pretty good performance in the preseason, and you thought he was going to be that guy, and that kind of lifted the Vikings' expectations. He goes down. Sam Darnold steps in, goes crazy. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones doing pretty good. You had Aaron Jones. They were saying Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler having a 50-50 backfield. Aaron Jones seems to prevail in that offense, which being 3-0, going to play the Packers. As a Packers fan, I'm excited to watch the matchup. Hopefully, Jordan. I think if Malik Willis plays, we're gonna lose. But I think if Jordan Love can play, I think it'll be a great game.
I mean, week 1, I was dissing Malik Willis, but he looks solid. I'm really happy for him. Like, he's been performing well, having good wins for the Packers. Just been a good rusher and passer overall. So
yeah, I have that little connection with Malik. Week 1, first game at Protective Stadium, UAB versus Liberty. And, I got tickets. We sat right next to Malik Willis's family. So, had a nice conversation with them. Little connection there, So, I've always liked Malik Willis. And seeing the news of him getting traded, really just, I liked it a lot. So.
Yeah. Malik Willis, I don't think a lot of people know this. He actually started at Auburn and then transferred to Liberty. So, an Auburn guy, I don't know if you want to count him. But I like Malik Willis too. But another thing, Devontae Adams has been ruled out, and Max Crosby for the Raiders. So
two big losses for the Raiders there.
Who are they playing this week?
The Browns.
The Browns haven't been good, but
no, they have not. Well, if David Njoku was there, then it would be a different story. But Deshaun Watson just hasn't looked great. But I mean, the Raiders, it's hard to win without your superstar defensive player and your superstar offensive player.
The Raiders is such a weird offense, such a weird little situation there because Jacoby Myers will prevail with Devontae Adams out. Brock Bowers hopefully getting some more targets, and then you have Antonio Pierce over here saying how they want to give Zamir White 20+ touches a game, and then as weeks go by, it's looking like Alexander Mattison is getting more rushing volume than Zamir White. I'm pretty sure, Jackson, you were big on Zamir White.
He's really big on Zamir White. Like, I'm really glad I didn't take him because he does not look good right now, like, at all.
Yeah, I would say I was about average on Zamir White, but I did have my concerns just thinking. I think a lot of people were projecting him into a Josh Jacobs role, which one I think is false because they still have Madison. But I don't think he's a Josh Jacobs either. So
no, he's not a Josh Jacobs. I thought he was going to be just a solid running back that would have most of the carries, just be good in that offense. Kind of be what I thought. I was thinking Zamir White would be like a J.K. Dobbins, but just not as good, but similar to that volume. No.
Any matchups you like this week?
Already commented on the Vikings Packers. Really like that one. That's probably my main guy. I like Eagles Buccaneers. Me and EA, original Buccaneers. We like the Buccaneers a lot, and you have the Eagles losing to the Falcons, which gives them that concern. But I think that'll be a great game. Bills Ravens next week or this week?
This week.
Yeah. Phenomenal game there. I think that'll be a great game. Ravens not having a stellar start to the season, but different Ravens.
Yeah.
But those are my main things.
My matchup of the week. Monday night, Lions versus Seahawks. The Seahawks were my sleeper team. I had them winning the division over the 49ers, over, I guess, the Rams, who some people took, but it was looking like a dumb decision over there, EA. But I'm telling you, the Seahawks are off to a 3-0 start. I think that the Lions might be in trouble this week. I like what the Seahawks are doing right now. Their offense, when they brought the Washington coordinator over there, it's really developed their passing offense. Jackson Smith and Jigba's looked like the guy he looked like in college. DK. They have all the weapons. Their cornerbacks on both sides locked down. I mean, I think it's going to be a really good matchup.
Yeah, gonna be. You've had Kenneth Walker injury for the past week or two, and you see Zach Charbonnet doing great. Moving away from the matchups, you had the Justin Herbert ankle injury.
Yeah, it'll be tough to see. I think he's projected to play as of right now, but I mean that offense is already in a really tough situation, losing all their weapons from last year. Without him, I mean, I would expect Dobbins to just kind of be the star in that and just kind of lean on a rush attack if Herbert's not able to play.
Yeah, no doubt. Lamb, McConkey, that wide receiver core just tough. Chargers don't have really anything going for them right now. So
EA picked up Quentin Johnson off waiver wires. He subbed him out for Josh Palmer, so made a little Charger swap there. But I was not high on Quentin Johnson. If you would go back and look at his targets, he hasn't been getting a lot of targets. He hasn't had a lot of yards. He's just had touchdowns. So obviously, if that continues, he's going to be good. But I don't know if those touchdowns will continue. I just don't. Unless he starts seeing more targets, I think he'll just be a really inconsistent player. But yeah, for sure, that wide receiver room is definitely rough.
No doubt. And then, you had the Cowboys over in Thursday Night Football had two major defensive injuries. You have Micah Parsons with the high ankle sprain, and you have DeMarcus Lawrence with the foot injury. And DeMarcus Lawrence being out for 4 weeks. Micah Parsons over here filming podcasts. While the Cowboys are just being terrible. So
that it changes their entire dynamic if those two guys don't play. Michael Parsons is obviously one of the best players in the NFL, but it'll be tough to see what that defense is because they were already not looking great, and now you just add their probably top 2 or 3 guys go down. I mean, it's just not really good. If the Saints put up like 42 points with those guys in, I don't want to see them play the Bills with those guys out.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you have Micah Parsons contract. That's just you signed Dak Prescott, you signed CeeDee Lamb. What happened to Micah Parsons?
It's kind of lingering in there.
I know. So it'll be fun to see what happens this coming off season. But yeah.
Last thing, the President's Cup golf right now. It's tied 5-5 heading into the weekend. International swept today. USA swept yesterday.
Uh-huh.
So it'll be cool to see. Obviously, got a good battle going up there in Canada right now. 5-5. Each team needs 10.5 more points to win, and it's going to come down to the weekend. We'll see what happens.
We got to balance out Georgia, Bama, Oklahoma, Auburn, and the President's Cup tomorrow. It'll be a fun little
stacked weekend. And then you got NFL on Sunday.
And President Cup's final day. I mean, phenomenal weekend we have coming up.
And then you got my game of the week on Monday night.
Hey, come on.
No clue what they're talking about, but okay.
All right.
That's going to be it for the 3rd episode of the podcast. Go follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Hit the like button. And thanks for watching.
See y'all.